Good, Jeff. Well, he's been the guy all year, in that 2 spot, and you feel good with him. Obviously, undefeated, and the guy that's always answered the bell. In that Saturday game, where you either needed to win the series, or after a tough Friday night loss, the guy that's been able to give us a great opportunity to get back into it. So, the right man for the job for sure.
He's pitched all season well, but have you seen him even better as the season goes on?
I think he's been pretty consistent from game one. It's hard to say that he's done much better than he did early on. I just think he's been as consistent as not just anybody on our staff, but anybody that we've seen. Just hasn't been a lot of ups and downs. And great competitor. I think when people haven't seen him, we talk a lot about. I think his stuff's a little underrated. But it's not off the chart stuff. But I think he's a great competitor and fills up the strike zone, and that's going to be important in this ballpark.
Did you pre-scout much the other teams in the bracket, or how does that go? How does that work today?
Steven, who handles that for us, has gotten stuff on all of them, but I didn't. Just focused on Virginia and looking at that stuff. So to tell you the truth, I haven't even looked at their stuff. Even as early as this morning. I don't think they've even announced a starter yet. And but we'll spend once we get to this afternoon, we'll spend the rest of the day doing that.
Is that kind of where the day maybe helps, where you didn't know who you were playing until 11 o'clock last night after the game?
Yeah, I think in this type of tournament, I think you handle a little different in a regional because it's so close. Obviously, the first game's most important, and the game that you're playing is the most important, and so most of the time was spent there. But it's I don't know if we had a lot of time to do that. Although that was if we needed to do it, and it was a high priority. Obviously, we would have. But we'll be able to watch yesterday's tape and get enough. It's enough time. You're right. It's enough time to get it done.
What do you feel about the demeanor of the team? I know that you've been around them a little bit after the
I really haven't, because I go to the media thing, they leave. So I spoke to him for a couple minutes, out in right field. I'll speak to him for a few minutes today, but I would be very surprised if they haven't been like they've been all year. They've always answered the bell. They've always, one of the things that somebody said, and it's true, that I know people hear this all year long, but it's one of the things that the SEC does to you. You get kicked in the mouth sometimes in our league. And, you got to be able to get off the mat, and we've been able to do that and respond all year long.
Hindsight's always 2020, but how much did you think about maybe walking Pappy last night to face McCarthy, even though early in the game that didn't exactly work?
Well, earlier in the game, basically we did the same thing. We didn't walk him. We didn't walk him until we got 3 balls. The tough thing about their lineup is you got those 3 guys. I like Mike. I think he's a terrific player, and I think of all those guys, he's probably the guy that you want to face the least. And so the plan was, the thing that I regret more is probably should have went out and talked to Aaron more. But what we're trying to do was not necessarily, you guys think did we choose to pitch to him or we're going to go to McCarthy. What we chose to do was, let's pitch him real tough. If we walk him, then we'll pitch McCarthy real tough. If we walk him, then we can go to Fisher. I thought Aaron pitched great, against him, and he was 1 pitch away, from getting out of it. And so that was the choice. It wasn't necessarily we're just going to pitch to him rather than go to McCarthy. With the base open, you have the option. So if you end up walking him, you're okay. If you walk him or you just intentionally walk him, then you go to McCarthy, and now you're more limited. Then if you walk him, obviously. So I just thought we would pitch him very tough. If we walked him, so what? We'll go to McCarthy. We're 1 pitch away, and that's why he's a first rounder and terrific player. So I don't regret that. I don't think it was either or. I think it was just a decision where we got beat. It was worse to walk the first guy, the 9-hole guy. That was I think that the key of the inning wasn't about Pappy. It was more that out of a 9, you got to attack the 9-hole guy, and that happened to us. Chris was able to pitch out of some of those jams. We gave them too many opportunities when you're facing a guy like Kirby, and especially the way he was on his game last night. We, although only gave up 2 runs, probably not by design pitching wise, where we walked 5 5 guys, and gave them a lot more opportunities. Fortunately for us, we were still in the game because of some great defensive plays, and then Chris was so good at getting out of those jams just like he has all year.
Do you lean on history at all? Do you talk to the guys about 2006 Oregon State or South Carolina in 2010 about how they were able to make a run and win the Sol, or is it just Texas Tech?
I didn't know all those stats, so maybe use some of that. But I think they realize, and that was part of the message last night, and we'll say a little bit of that today and tomorrow in the pregame, that somebody always comes out of the loser's bracket. It's only a 4-team bracket, so it's not like the battle uphill is not attainable. And what gives you a break is the days in between. And so you got the starting pitching. Usually when you get in a loser's bracket, it's not just the starting pitching, but it's the bullpen that gets taxed a lot. With the day off, certainly that helps. So Greenwood and Massey and those guys in the bullpen, they'll still be available to pitch on Tuesday. And if you win, then you move to Thursday and get another day off. So the thing is, let's not worry so much about down the road 3 or 4 games and what can happen. Let's win Tuesday. Let's do that first.
If you kind of predicting going with their number 2, he's a lefty too. Does that help that you just saw a lefty, or?
I think he's going to be totally different. And again, haven't got just a little bit of information, but different type of pitcher than Kirby. And I think to this point, you face so many right-handers and left-handers that I don't know if that's as relevant as maybe seeing 14 right-handers in a row and then finally seeing a left-hander. So I don't think it'll matter as much.
How does the approach change when you're facing a strikeout guy like Kirby, maybe not a pitch-to-contact guy like Duchek?
Well, Kirby was just tremendous, and again, one of the things is what we try to concentrate on is doing what we do. That doesn't mean that we won't tweak a few things, but I think we're going to be aggressive and try to make things happen. We tried to do that last night. We just didn't have any base runners. We tried to hit and run, and got a terrible pitch for Preston, and but didn't have a lot of opportunities. Hopefully, we'll have a lot more opportunities on Tuesday.
Can you talk about your confidence in a guy like Scott Weathersby with a big performance in a regional final, super regional final, and then maybe how you'll utilize him moving forward in this tournament?
Well, Scott's been terrific, especially about the second half on. But I think it's one of the things that really took some pressure off and solidified the bullpen is when we made a choice, somewhere around Kentucky series, which I believe was week 6 or 7, in conference play, where we started, instead of just going with one guy at the end, we kind of was by committee. It was by whoever went in. If they were pitching well, we just left them in there, rather than, hey, it's the 9th inning, we're supposed to bring player X in, and in doing so, I think one, it took a little pressure off them, but 2 is I think they gained confidence in one another, and I think our team gained a lot of confidence in that, and Scott's been a big part of that. And the reason in your question I say it because he's been a huge part of that, and but along with Massey and Greenwood, Laxer, Short, all those guys.
How's his back going?
It's been good, a lot better. We were really concerned, but it felt a lot better. The last few days, and he was available last night, but we really didn't want to use him. We thought it would have been iffy, and so we think he'll be 100% by Tuesday.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.